Grandmaster Wolf, I'm happy to see you again. And a lot of our viewers on the Shadow Control channel, they were so exciting about the information that you shared. They just wanted to hear more from you. They just wanted to ask you a lot of questions. I want just to ask you some of these questions, not the whole, but some of them, because there are too many. The most common one is it was about the thoughts, how we, just the similar people, can learn to control the thoughts so they don't rule our moods and inner state.
It's not about controlling thoughts. It's not about training yourself not to feel pain. It's not about getting rid of anything. It's about not responding to them. You see, if somebody insults you, they say something nasty to you, and if that offends you, that's your problem. You are the one that offended yourself. If someone says something to you that isn't very nice, if you don't like or agree with what they're saying to you, you will become offended. That is your choice. You can choose not to listen to what they say. You can choose not to respond to what they say, in which case you are free from being offended by other people. That's a good way to begin. Then, when you watch your own thoughts, when bad thoughts come up, you will notice your body will respond to the bad thought. You will have a bad thought, and then your heartbeat might race a little bit. What's happening there is the bad thought is having no effect on you at all. It's fine. It doesn't matter how negative the thoughts are. They're not having any effect on you. When you decide to respond negatively to those thoughts, your body will then respond to those thoughts, and you'll end up with a tight stomach. Your heartbeat will go up. Your chest might get tight. You'll start to feel fear or whatever the situation may be. But the point is this: if you sit in there long enough and you watch your thoughts, you'll realize that thoughts respond to each other. But whatever you are inside there watching your thoughts doesn't have to respond to anything. This is what deep meditation trains you to do. You sit back, you will watch a negative thought go by. Don't respond to it. You don't have to. You will see a negative emotion will follow the negative thought. That emotion is your first response to the thought. You might think then, okay, I've had a bad thought and now I have a bad emotion. Don't respond to that either. Doesn't matter if you have a bad emotion. Why would it? It's your choice whether you respond negatively or not. Can I give you a very quick and a very good example of what I mean by this? This is going to sound odd, but it's listen to it and watch what I say. When a person, a man, let's say a man, when a man has an orgasm, a sexual orgasm, it is a very intense feeling. When a man has an orgasm, he can't think, he can't talk, he pulls funny faces, and you maybe not like that, but they pull funny faces when they have an orgasm. They don't try and get away from it. It is so intense, it disables you for those few moments. But you don't try and get away from it. It doesn't bother you. It's a good thing. When you are in pain, emotional pain or physical pain, you can still drive a car. You can drive to the hospital. You can still think. You can still talk. So that pain is nowhere near as intense as an orgasm. So why does that bother you? Why does the pain bother you? It's your response to it. We try to get away from it. So the trick is to spend some time each day, watch your thoughts, watch your feelings, watch your pains, and learn to just sit and watch. And what you will notice at the end of the day is you'll have thoughts going, oh, there's some pain. I don't like that. Why don't you like that? Oh, I don't know. I just don't like it. Why don't you get away from it? I can't get away from it. Oh, no, we're in hell. You'll see all of that going on. But because you're not sitting in your thoughts, because you're sitting back watching them, you are free from the pain, free from the thoughts, free from it all. And then at that point, you can choose whether or not you want to engage with the feelings. If they're wonderful feelings and you wish to engage, you can. If they're bad and horrible feelings and you don't wish to engage, you have that freedom to do that. But you have to realize and train yourself to know that you are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. These are things you are aware of. And to be free from all of that is the aim of the practices. And it doesn't have to be difficult. It's quite easy to do. It just takes a little time.
Could you give any simple tools, something to start with, so to get out of these unnecessary thoughts?
Let's start at the very bottom, the very basic. Learn to lay down and relax your body to the point where you slow your heartbeat down. If you can't develop enough control to just basically lay down and relax, if you don't have that kind of control, then you won't have the control to control your heartbeat. You won't have the control to control your mind. You've got to start somewhere. And the very basics is, if you can't take control of your body and relax it when you need it to, then you're not going to be able to do any of the other deeper stuff. That's where you start. It's very easy to do. Learn to relax. The more you relax, the slower your heart will go. Get yourself one of these little things that you use for exercises that tells you your pulse rate. They're brilliant. And your heartbeat. Keep it in front of you and use it as biofeedback. Relax your body and start to bring down your heartbeat. And you will be surprised, because you will do it. The first time you try, you will do it. And you'll have realization, oh goodness. And then you relax even more and your heartbeat will come down more. And you relax more and your heartbeat will come down more. Just in that exercise alone, when you get your heartbeat down to a certain level, you'll actually go into a trance, a little bit of a trance. And that's your next level. Once you can go into a trance anytime you want to, you've just reached another level of control. And when you go into a trance, your mind can come out and start to do the things you wish to do with your mind in the outside world. But you have to start somewhere. Control your body. That's the first thing. When you can control your body, you can control your mind. There's others. Anything that develops your awareness is a good thing to do. Watch what you think. Watch when you think. Why are you thinking? What are you thinking? What do you feel? Why are you feeling that? Where are you feeling that? If you feel anger, ask yourself, where am I feeling this? Is it in my heart? My chest is tight. This is where I feel anger. No, that's your body's response to anger. Where are you feeling your anger? Is it in my head? No, the concept is in your head. Well, where is the anger? It's actually not there. It's not there. The anger isn't there. What's happening if you watch? You will have a bad thought. Your body will respond to the thought. You will feel pains and aggression in your body. That's the response to the bad thought. We call that anger. But if you try to locate your anger, you won't find it. It can't be found. If you become fearful, where are you feeling your fear? I feel it in my heart. No, your heart is responding to your fear. Where is your fear? These questions will force you to go inwards and start looking around, starting to get to know your real self, the real self. Maybe I said too much then, but this is where it begins. You've got to go inwards, totally. When you are not angry, when you are no longer fearful, when you no longer have paranoia, when you are no longer judgmental and all of these things, what's left? Who are you at that point? When you no longer see yourself as Russian or American or Chinese or Australian or Polish, you take all of that rubbish away, what are you? And if you go back 10,000 years, there were no borders. There wasn't Poland. There was no America. There was no Russia. There were no countries. We were just people on a planet. But when you are in that space, when you don't have a head full of this shit, what are you at that point? Who are you at that point? Take away your name. That was given to you. Take away your opinions and your thoughts and your beliefs and all of that. What's left? That's you. I don't know why I said that, but it sounds good.
It's good because, you know, such a simple and understandable explanation of these things is very good, because now the people can understand, like when you say about the response in our bodies on the thoughts, on the bad thoughts, it's like, for example, in the martial arts, like action and reaction. Just we can feel and we can observe the reaction, but it's a pity, but not a lot of people understand where was the action, where was the beginning of the action, and it is not in the body, like you explained. It's perfect. The next question was about the meditation, because we talked the previous about the meditation, and you said pointed out also about the meditation. What is the meditation like a process? I don't know, or like a practice. How can you describe it or explain it to our viewers?
Meditation isn't a practice. Meditation is the end result. You learn to sit in your mind and allow all of your thoughts and all of your emotions to go on around you. You don't interfere with them. Don't approach them. Don't respond to them. Allow it all to go on around you, but learn to sit in the middle of your thoughts and your feelings, like sitting in the eye of a storm, like a cyclone. In the middle of a cyclone, it's all this destruction going on around, but right there in the middle is the safest place in the world. It's quiet, it's calm, it's serene, it's peaceful, and you are untouchable at that moment. And that's how you be. So you learn to sit inside your mind, know that your thoughts are going on. Your thoughts occasionally will run in front of you and pretend to be you. You'll sit there and feel calmness, and you'll say to yourself, "Ah, goodness, this must be it. That wasn't you that said that. That were your thoughts saying that." You're aware of your thoughts saying that. The trick is to sit there, and when your thoughts start gibbering away, pretending to be you, talking to yourself, just smile and let them do it, but do nothing about it. Just allow them to do it. And when you get very good at this, it doesn't matter how much horrible stuff goes on in somebody's head. If you're not responding to it, you are free. So it's a matter of sitting there and allowing it all to go on inside your mind, but don't respond, do nothing about it, just sit there. Once you can do that in here, nothing out here in the world can bother you, because wherever you go in the world, you're going to take your head with you, and all of the shit that's in your head is going to come with you as well. So you can't run away from it. So you are in there. When you learn not to be bothered by anything in here, you will realize that nothing in the outside world can even come close to the intensity of what your brain can do to you. So when you learn to sit inside your brain and not be affected, not be bothered, nothing in the outside world will come anywhere near you. You are free. You are above your thoughts. If you are above your thoughts, you are above the process of responding to the negativity of life. And once you're free from that, you are free from misery. If you are free from misery, you are free from illness. And anyone out there that studied the Siddhartha story, the whole point of the Siddhartha story was to show that he was going to be the king one day of his people. It's a true story. And he went outside of his kingdom at the age of 21 for the first time in his life, and he saw people with great illnesses, leprosy, horrible diseases. And he thought to himself, if I can't stop this, if I can't help my people from all of this misery, what good am I as a king? No good at all. So he left the kingdom, of course, and went off and attained Buddhahood, became enlightened. He realized he couldn't stop disease. He realized he couldn't stop leprosy. He realized he couldn't stop death. But what he did realize was you can rise above these things, whereby you can be dying of leprosy and it won't bother you. You'll still be free of mind. You will still be happy. It won't be an issue to you. That is the extreme example of what I was just talking about before. Because if leprosy doesn't bother you, no one in the world is going to be able to bother you either, or anything else. And that's what he learned. That's what he saw. The mind is untouchable. Spirit is untouchable. But as long as you think you are your thoughts, you are at the mercy of everything and anyone, from governments to disease. So that's it. You relax your body, sit down, close your eyes, notice that in the blackness, when you first close your eyes, there's movement. Most so-called gurus would tell you to go in there and stop that movement. Why? That movement, what's moving, is just something you're aware of. Trying to stop that will do nothing for you. Leave it alone, let it move. The other thing you will notice is your brain's chattering away. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Just watch it, chatter, chatter, chatter. Once again, a lot of teachers will tell you to go in there and stop that chattering brain. Why? That's just something you're aware of. That's not you. Stopping your thoughts will do nothing for you because they're not you. They're pretending to be you. You would go in there, you might have bad feelings. You will have an itch at the end of your nose just at the wrong time when you're really starting to meditate. Your feelings, emotions will come up. It doesn't matter. Don't stop those either. Why would you stop them? They're not you. All of these things you are aware of, stopping them will do nothing for you. The point in meditation is to see your thoughts, to see your feelings, to see your pain, but don't respond to it. Be above it. Don't play into it. Be still. It doesn't take years. It takes months. Anyone in the world can do it if they put their mind to it. I think that's it.
Good, thank you. It's interesting because you give some example about diseases, and the next question from our viewers was: Is it possible to overcome depression with the help of meditation? What do you think about this?
Absolutely. Once again, if you rise above it, if your thoughts are depressed, so what? That has nothing to do with you. When you're sitting in meditation with great clarity, you will see thoughts about trees, thoughts about being hungry, thoughts being depressed. Ooh, there's some depressed thoughts. Oh, well. Once they've gone by your awareness, they're gone. But people, if you're not in a meditative state and you think you are your thoughts, depressive thoughts will come along. Other thoughts will go, oh no, I'm depressed. Why am I depressed? I don't know. I'm just a depressed person. Why don't we go and get some medication? Oh, should we meditate? No, let's take some medication. That's better. If you think you are those things going through all of this silliness, your depression will kill you, probably. If you sit back, you watch your depression. Oh, look, there's a depressed thought. Emotions will come up. Sad, depressed emotions will come up. Why are they sad emotions? Why do you call it sadness? Why do you call it depression? Thoughts. They're telling you, oh, you're depressed. That's not good. And you'll respond to that. Oh, no, there's something in me that's not good. That's what the thought's telling you about that. Bad thoughts. How do you know they're bad thoughts? These thoughts are telling you they're bad thoughts. Well, what are these thoughts for? Oh, I don't know. They just came back from over here. This just goes on and on and on and on inside your head, in your subconscious, and it's a mess. So when depression comes along, sit back in your meditative state and watch the depression and just smile, because you know that's not you. You see, depression, all of the elements of depression is thoughts, which are made of matter. Chemicals will respond to your thoughts, giving you horrible feelings. Matter, again, chemicals. Spirit, mind, is not made of matter. It can't be touched by drugs. It can't be touched by chemicals. It can't be touched by disease. It can't be touched by depression. Be the mind that you are. And everything that you become aware of, including your depression, will not touch you. You are untouchable. Inside your mind, inside your brain, away from your thoughts, you are absolutely untouchable. And that's the part of you that goes on forever. Also because it's not made of matter. It's spirit. It's mind. It can't decay. It can't fall apart. It can't die. It's not matter. We think we are the matter. Well, I don't, and not everyone does, but most people think they are the matter, and therefore they respond to anything that happens to the body as if it's happening to them. And that's where all the problems begin. It doesn't matter what happens to your body. You can get another one.
I don't know what to say, but you know what is interesting? I just remember one conversation with the scientist who is working in some researching institute where they are trying to learn the consciousness, the brain of the people, how it works, how everything goes there. And they still don't have an answer about the thoughts. Where are they coming from? Maybe you can...
They're coming from the wrong place. Can you see my walkie-talkie there? I want to show you something. I hope this will work as an example. I have a walkie-talkie. If the scientist had the other walkie-talkie and I start to talk to him through the walkie-talkie, if he starts to think that the walkie-talkie is me, if he starts to think that the walkie-talkie is what's talking to him, the radio, he will start to look into this, trying to find the person that's speaking. You see, that's what they're doing. They're not realizing that the person talking is somewhere else. They don't realize that. They're looking at the mind. You see, science is a fantastic tool, absolutely the pinnacle of our ability to analyze and get truth. Scientists, however, are morons. A lot of them, not all of them. Most scientists are morons. The problem is anyone can become a scientist. All you need to do is understand and learn the principles and the protocols and the principles and the methods of scientific investigation. Very, very easy. It's common sense, mainly. Anyone can do that. That means that serial killers become scientists. Idiots become scientists. Morons become scientists. All of these people, unfortunately, do not want to imply that there might be something spiritual or other beyond matter. If they don't have that openness, they're never ever going to get past matter. They're never ever going to find the source of mind. They're never ever going to be able to find spirit. There are scientists that do go this way. There are open-minded scientists, and eventually they will realize. Dean Radin is one of them. Dean Radin is someone he was a scientist that I've been working with. He has spent his whole life as a scientist studying the paranormal, studying magic, quantifying magic, how it works, why it works. He has experiments that have proven over and over and over again and demonstrated in the laboratory that you can move things with your mind, you can alter things with your mind. We've done magical experiments with voodoo dolls, and it was so successful it scared the hell out of the scientists, and they stopped the experiment. They proved it. And he got lots and lots of horrible comments and complaints and all sorts of things from all the other scientists that didn't want to believe that. No, there's no such thing as mind. There's no such thing as spirit. Therefore, we're not going to look at it. Okay, as a scientist, how do you know there's no such thing as mind? Because we can't see it. Well, you can't see the wind either, but you know that's there. They don't go that way. So don't mistake scientists for science. Science is pure and perfect. It really is. People are not.
It was a good example with the walkie-talkie. Really good. Understandable even not for the scientists. I hope the big minds of nowadays will understand it more than me. You know, Grandmaster, some of our audience so have a big interest in the magic, in some influences and so on. That's why they write a question to you. If so, we speak about the negative state of a person, can the negative state be the result of invisible influence of, I'm not sure, the evil entities, of the evil creature? Can it be or not? Or it's only connected with the thoughts that we like respond and giving our attention to them?
Yes, you're right. That's exactly how it is. It's once again, it doesn't matter how negative you are. If you learn not to respond to those negative thoughts, they'll just go away. It's not about stopping anything. It's about being free from them and realizing you are not those things. To answer you in another way, there are a few other reasons as well, of course. If you grow up in a very negative home, with very negative parents, a very negative family, in a very negative situation, and you are in that negativity so much for so long, you think that that's just life, you will just be a negative person. So a lot of it is your programming. Babies aren't born negative. Babies are full of joy. We're all full of joy. It comes with the package as a baby. Joy isn't something you learn. Joy isn't something you attain to. It comes with it. So when a baby is born, it's already joyful, happy, smile, giggly, fascinated with all things until it's hungry. Then it's a bit loud. But other than that, it's wonderful. By the time you're 10 years old, someone's hit you on the nose at school, someone's been cruel to you, you watch your parents fighting. So eventually, after a while, your joy starts to disappear and you start to become an adult. And then once your joy disappears, we try to replace that with pleasure for the rest of our lives. You try to get the joy back. So what they start with alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, looking to get their joy back, but all they're getting is pleasure. And the pleasure isn't even coming from the inside, it's coming from substances. They are relying on external things for their internal pleasure, trying to replace joy. When they can't do that, they start to become very negative. It's people, we are educated to blame the world for our problems. We're educated to blame each other for our problems. But if you don't respond to any of these things, there's nothing to blame. You'll realize in meditation that your response to everything is your choice. If you're negative because of the world, that's not the fault of the world, that's your response to the world. If the person, your next door neighbor, is a horrible, horrible person, your hatred and your disgust and your judgment of that person is what's hurting you, not the person themselves. Doesn't matter how horrible anybody is. If they're not stabbing you or shooting you or poisoning you, they're not actually doing anything. They're just grunting at you. And if you want to get all upset and negative and depressed because what people are saying, then you either believe what they're saying or you're just responding badly to their grunts. You can rise above all of that. You can become very untouchable. There's stories of heroes throughout history whereby they get tortured, they go through horrible situations, they get tested by life, but there is something in them that doesn't allow them to succumb to it. And these are the people that we hear about through history.
Thank you for this explanation, because it shows that the people have to be responsible of what they are doing, where they are giving their energy, their attention, and not to complaining on other people or other situation. But I just ask you such a question about this invisible evil entities, or like the people used to say, energy parasites.
Yeah, it's like vampires.
Yeah, does something of this exist or no?
Yes, it exists, but it doesn't come from anywhere else other than people. I can give you an example. If you go and visit somebody's home, it doesn't matter if you know them or not, they can be total strangers. But if you visit somebody's home and they've had a horrible argument before you get there, and when you get there, they pretend that everything is fine. When you walk into their home, you think to yourself, whoa, the atmosphere is very heavy in here. You can feel that something bad happened. How are you feeling that? They just had an argument, but the energy that they've put off is so strong and so thick, a total stranger can walk in and feel it. If you walk into someone's house that is full of love and joy, as soon as you walk in the door, you feel that as well. If you have someone with evil intentions and horrible energy, and let's face it, some people just like to see the world suffer. It's just what they are. When you walk into a place that has that kind of energy, if you are close to someone that is full of hatred and disgust, someone who enjoys being hateful, and people are like that, then that energy, in the same way, when you walk into a home and you can feel that people have been arguing, you can feel that energy. In the same way, someone who is always like that, someone that is comfortable being that way, they have this big bubble of energy around them. And if you walk through it, it will affect you. You will take it on. You can, once again, in meditation, you can ignore it. You can rise above it. But what happens to your average person when they feel this horrible negativity, they immediately respond and jump into it. Where did that come from? Why am I feeling that? Is that coming from me? Am I under attack by demons? And it's getting worse and worse and worse. Inside your head, it's getting worse. All you felt was a little bit of negativity around you, and you did the rest. Can I tell you a very quick story regarding that?
Yeah, of course, it's interesting.
Yeah, do you mind? Okay. You may have heard this before. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a trade person, someone selling silks along the Silk Road. How could I put it? What's the word I'm looking for? A traveling salesperson walking along the road. Coming the other way was the plague. You know, the plague, the Black Plague, kills everybody. The man walking down the road, as they're passing the plague, he says to the plague, "Hello, plague, where are you going?" And the plague said, "I'm going to Baghdad. I'm going to kill 50,000 people." And the man went, "Oh, okay, that's what plagues do, I guess." And they passed each other and kept going. 1 year later, they were both going home. The man was coming back and the plague was going home, and they passed each other again. And the man said to the plague, "Hey, you told me you were only going to kill 50,000 people. I heard that you killed 500,000 people. Is that right?" And the plague said, No, I only killed 50,000 people. The others died of fear. They thought they had the plague, and they were fearful of it, and they took it on board, and they killed themselves. It wasn't the plague that did it. And it's the same. It's a good story if you understand the principle of it. This is what we do. We will feel something slightly negative, and we will build on it inside our minds. How many times when you were younger, you had to go and see somebody that you didn't want to see, or you had to go somewhere you didn't want to go? And you think, "No, I don't want to go. I don't feel like it. It's not the kind of thing I want to do. I don't want to go to that party with those people." But once you get there, you think, "Oh, wow, this is really cool." The horrible part of it was in your mind. You was assuming horrible things, and it was making you feel horrible. It was making you feel tired. It was making you feel depressed. But it was all in your mind. And once you actually got there, nothing really bad was happening, and you enjoyed yourself. And that's the story of the plague. People become so fearful that they might have it. They become so fearful that they've seen someone else have it, that they think they might have it themselves, and their minds will get fearful, and they'll lock themselves inside the house, and they'll start to get paranoid, and they'll stop talking to people, and suddenly now their life is in hell, and they will get ill, and they will think that they are dying of the plague, but they're not. They're dying of their own mind. It's very, very important to control your own mind. Actually, I'll rephrase that. You are the mind. It's very important that you control your brain. The walkie-talkie. If you can't control your walkie-talkie, you're going to be playing a big part in the hell that rules this earth at the moment. On that note, by the way, the entire planet right now is going through the death throes of an old era. We are moving into a new era right now. This is why we're feeling what we're feeling. This is why everyone in the world is the way they are. And if you are the kind of person who is clinging to the old world, clinging to the old ways, clinging to all of the things that create the misery in the world today, if you can't let go of that, you are not going to make it into the new era. In the new era, if you're loving, if you're happy, if you are self-reliant, if you take control and take responsibility for your life spiritually and mentally and physically, if everybody does this, if you can adapt, if you are not grabbing hold of your religion, grabbing hold of your tradition, grabbing hold of this and that, if you can move forward and adapt, you'll be part of the new era and part of the new future of this planet. Huge changes are happening, enormous changes this year. And I can tell you now that the Mayan calendar was correct. It started in 2012. But in the scheme of things, it seems to be taking a long time. To us, it seems to be taking a long time. But in the scheme of things, it's only been half a second, really, since 2012. But it's the end of an era, and fantastic things are going to happen. But the old era has to die, and the people that are responsible for all the misery of the old era have to die, and they will. Cars are going to change. Education is going to change. Our view on the universe is going to change. The way we think is going to change. The world will be ruled eventually by compassion and love and unity. That's coming back. It's been destroyed for a few thousand years by a bunch of stupid monkeys who want to control the world and everybody in it. And that can't be done. And they're realizing that. An example, not too many thousands of years ago, people rape and kill and steal from each other and all the horrible things we do to each other. Religion comes in. Let's try and stop this. Let's try and make people better. 2,000 years later, it's worse. People started doing the same things in the name of their religion. It actually gave them a good reason to be horrible. So that didn't work. Government comes in. Let's try government, see if that can fix everything. 2,000 years later, still killing and robbing and stealing from each other and doing horrible shit. Well, that didn't work either, did it? Spiritual, beautiful, wonderful spiritual people. Do they kill each other? No, they don't. Do they rape and steal and break into each other's houses? No, they don't even hurt each other. They don't even think badly about each other. Oh, why don't we vote for them? Why aren't they running our government? Wonderful, spiritual, enlightened people. Why don't we vote for them? I'm asking the question. It's beyond me why they don't do that.
It would be interesting to hear from you. What do you mean, the spiritual people?
You know everything already. You know you love. You don't have to think about it. You don't need a picture. You know you love. That knowing is pure. Everything that you know is pure, whatever it's just you knowing it. You know when you're happy. You know when you're sad. You know when you love someone. All of these knowings you know without pictures. You don't need pictures. It's all spiritual. Compassion, love. These all comes from the higher mind, the spiritual mind, and you know these things. The little monkey that we live in, our bodies, our brain, this monkey that we inhabit, it can't get its little head around invisible things. It can't get its little head around pure stuff. So when you have a pure knowing and it comes into your brain will then turn it into a picture. So now it's captured it in a picture form. It's not pure now. It's got a line around it. Your brain then can stretch it. It can add opinions to it. It can add judgments to it. It can change the color of that knowing. It will rip it to pieces before you're even aware of what you knew. And then your body will react into the world based on what your brain turns your knowing into. when you get rid of that filter, when your brain stops, for instance, unconditional love, you just love people. You don't like seeing people in misery. If you saw a total stranger in the road, hurt and injured, you would go and pick them up and dust them off and help them. That's love. But even though you don't know the person, there's something inside us that needs to help people that are in misery. That's pure. By the time that beautiful, pure spiritual knowing comes into your brain then is going to start going, oh, no, I don't want to help that person. They're of a different religion. No, don't help that person. They're on drugs. They might hurt you. Don't touch them. It's screwing up your knowing. It's screwing up your love to go and want to do things for each other. Your brain will go, oh, no, I'm not connected to anyone. I'm a special individual person. I'm better than him, better than her, better than him. This is what your brain does. So now you're not going to go over there and help that person because of what your brain just made you do. Fear, racism, hatred, judgment. Your brain will attach these to your pure knowing. You take all of that bullshit away, what's left? Love, compassion, the need to be one with all, the need to help, all of these things, that's what's left. And that's the spiritual. We call it spiritual because the spirit doesn't have hatred, it doesn't have racism, it doesn't have aggression, it doesn't have judgment, it doesn't have opinion, it's just love. That's the difference. So when you learn to sit back and start to come from that place of your mind, your body stops responding to horrible thoughts and it starts responding to love. Because when you do that, that love will just trickle down through your body like warm butter. And then, in the same way as when you walk into a house that is full of somebody's negative or positive energy, if you're just coming from this beautiful, wonderful, loving space of mind, people are going to start to feel that. People, you see, and if everybody's doing that, wow. You can imagine what kind of a world that would be. However, everybody has to do it. While everyone is competing against each other in this world, we're always going to be fragmented and we will never come together as one. And if everybody wants the world that I hope everybody wants, which is total peace, people helping each other, plenty of food for everybody, no stupidity, no horrible racism, none of that crap. If everyone wants that kind of a world where you can just walk anywhere in the planet you want to without being stopped by stupidity and security and idiocy and people trying to control the planet, when all that bullshit's gone, if you want that kind of a world, then everyone has to start loving. Everyone has to have each other's back. Everyone has to start working with each other. Everyone has to start holding hands and talking about how do we want this world to be. It's coming. It is happening.
You know, I just remembered our previous conversation, our previous interview, just because you explained the spirituality was what it is, and what kind of misunderstandings that the people have now in this meeting. And in previous interview, we were talking about such a situation if all the humanity will do the meditation at the same time, like it can change the world. So if the people,
yes.
So can you explain a little bit more what kind of meditation is this? The people just have to sit and, I don't know, think about the good things, or they just have to produce love or something like that. So can you give more explanation about this moment?
What happens in the meditation that I described is, I'll give you an example, Zen meditation in a Zen monastery. This is a really good example of what I'm about to say. When you are at a point where you can sit in a room full of people and meditate, because you can get to a point where you can meditate with a radio going and a TV going and dogs barking. You can get to a point where that doesn't bother you. You can sit in meditation and it just doesn't bother you. When you get to that stage in a Zen temple, You will sit facing the wall, and there might be 20 people around the walls, all facing the wall, and they'll sit in deep meditation. Their master will walk around behind them with a big stick. They can't hear him. He's very quiet. His mind is so quiet, he knows when you're thinking. So when you're in deep meditation, if your master is behind you and he realizes you are just in the right position, you've just started thinking again, he will hit you with a stick, bang, on the shoulder. Now, if the timing is just right, when he hits you, your ego will come up and go, "What was that?" And at that moment, while you're in meditation, you'll go, and for the first time ever, you'll see your ego and you'll realize, wow, I used to think that was me. You don't say this to yourself because your thoughts are in here at that point. But you turn and you see, wow, the ego, the self, it's not me. This is this other thing. It's responding to the pain. You've just reached enlightenment of that. But the point is, before that occurs, people identify with their thoughts as being them. You have to realize that if you're in there being aware of your thoughts, watching your thoughts, then you're not them. You are this other thing. And eventually in meditation, you have to come to that realization, what am I in here watching my thoughts? Because in those thoughts is your name, you thought your name was, is your fears, your aggression, your anger, your racism, your opinions, your judgment are all in those thoughts. You don't feel any of those anymore. So for the first time ever, you see it. Now, of course, everyone can't go and stay in a Zen monastery because people have to work, people have to feed their families. So in meditation, two things will happen. You will train yourself to sit still and your thoughts will go on around you. Your feelings will come and go. The chattering will come and go. But you have trained yourself to be absolutely free. And above all of that, the other thing that will happen is you will realize, you will re-identify, you will realize that you are not your body and your thoughts. You are awareness. You are this other thing that doesn't have any of that going on. At that point, you have realized that you are spirit inside a body that thinks. Once you realize that, life has a whole different meaning. Freedom, anytime you feel like it. Death doesn't bother you. That's just the body that I inhabit. So the whole point in that respect, apart from the training itself, is you have the realization that you are this other thing. And because you are not made of matter, you're not separate from the same spirit that is in all things. Once this occurs, you will see through the eyes of a horse, you will see through the eyes of a crow. The awareness that you are in there is the same awareness that is in everything else. This is why it is called the source. It is the original mind that created the universe in the first place. Everything in the universe has this mind in it, and it is in the mind as well. And this thing, in meditation, when you're in there, seeing your thoughts, you will have the realization that you are this entity, this life force, this mind that is in all things. Words don't really express the experience, but I think you understand what I'm saying. So two things occur. You become totally free from the misery of matter, and you have a realization that you are an eternal spirit that is in all things. It's not something that you think of. It's not something that you come to reasonably and logically like a scientist would. It's something that you just experience, and you can't talk about it. It's very, very hard to say. Most of my life as a mystic has been spent trying to explain these things in as many different ways as possible. If I have 150 people in front of me and I explain this in a certain way, maybe 5 of those 100 people will go, "Oh, I get it." but the others don't. So I'll say the same thing in a different way. And then 3 people at the back of the room will go, oh, I get it. And then I'll say the same thing again in another different way. And then another 4 people in the middle of the crowd will go, oh, I get it. So if I can say the same thing in 100 different ways, you can reach a hell of a lot more people. But they're not teachings. I have nothing to teach at all. It's just guidance. And all I can explain is what happens when you do what I've done in life. I am who I am because of what I've done, not because of what I've learned. Experience is the truth. Theory is just theory. And that's why people don't get past the walkie-talkie. So if you wanted to take it one step further, once you have reached that state of mind, you will realize very quickly that you can leave the body and come back anytime you feel like it. Most people, it happens in little tiny moments of their life, like a lucid dream that becomes an astral journey. When people have near-death experiences, when they come back, all they can say is, wow, it's just pure love and pure will. It was just wonderful. Just one, everything was one, and it's just pure loving feeling. This is what they come back and tell you. Why? Because when you leave your body astrally, you don't have to die. When you leave your body, one way or another, whether it's dying or not, you don't take your brain with you. Your brain stays in the body. And because your brain stays in the body, the thoughts stay in the body. All the wrong thoughts, all the bad thoughts, all the good thoughts, everything stays in the brain and it dies with the brain. When you are sitting in meditation, watching your thoughts, feeling your body, being aware of everything going on in there, whatever you are in there watching your thoughts is what comes out of your body when you astral. That's what comes out of your body when you die. This is why when you're in deep meditation, you have become in touch with the very thing that you are looking for, which was doing the looking in the first place. Now, because you don't take your brain with you and you don't take your thoughts with you when you leave your body, all that's left is pure love, pure knowing, oneness. It's the reality of what's left when you get out of the body. And this is why when people die, have near-death experiences and come back, this is what they have felt. Some people can have horrible lives and be full of anger and full of upset and all of this, and they'll have a near-death experience, and when they come back, they're full of love. They've changed a lot. Dramatically, they are different people for the better. Why? Because they just spent a few moments away from the crap that was creating havoc in their life. And that's enough. You only need to do it for a minute. You only need to reach that spot in deep meditation for a minute, and it's done. You will re-identify. You'll stop identifying with the walkie-talkie, and you'll realize that you are this other thing that is just using this body to express itself through. And I think that's it. Oh, I love the way you look.
You know, I'm wondering how our conversation is going, because it is touching everything that I wanted to ask from our viewers, and it's also interesting for me. Really interesting, and I'm really thankful to you for your answers, for your explanations. I think it's not necessary to ask you once again about the negative states, how the people can get out of this, because you explain it with a lot of situation. But you know, a lot of people just want to hear the concrete my situation, and it was like when we are losing someone who we loved, or someone lost his business and go in this negative state, or now just like you explained about the time about this year, 2024, it's difficult for the whole planet, for the whole humanity. We see the climate changes, we see all the disaster, the people losing their houses, they losing the families and so on. But I think you answer it already, and not one more time, how to get out for these negative states, that it doesn't matter how you go there, how you get in, but you also give the answer and show how this mechanism works. The next question is, it's really interesting to hear, because you already mentioned some things. What is that in your understanding?
Oh, that's easy. Matter as an invention, and nature invented matter for a reason, obviously, has a very short lifespan. Matter can only hold itself together for a certain amount of time. As a human being, maybe 80 years, 100 years at best, and then it falls to pieces. There's lots of reasons for that. It's very temporary. It's like a child building a sand castle. It'll build it and it'll stay there for a little while, and then it falls apart. That's the nature of matter. Spirit, it's not made of matter. It's a whole other entity. It does not die. It does not go away. It doesn't fall apart. You may buy a vehicle, a motor car, when you're 15 years old, when you're a young teenager. By the time you're 25, your vehicle is going to be full of rust. Well, it depends how you look after it. But your average person, the car will get rust, the axles will start to wear out, the engine will wear out. You can fix it here and there. It's like getting rid of small cancers and things. But eventually your car's going to fall to bits. And then you get out of your car and you get another one, a new one. That's death. That's not a belief. That's experience. As you probably already know, a lot of my training in the mystical monasteries, we used to die twice a week on a regular basis. You stop your heart. You give your body a little bit of time for the brain activity to come down, and then you start to experience being dead. For the first time, you may do it for 2 or 3 minutes, and then your teacher will bring you back. And then you'll do it for 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes. I can do it for 20 minutes. I can be dead for 20 minutes. Then I start to go blue in my lips. And then my teacher sits me up, kickstart the heart, and then you record. If you want to, you can record your experiences if you can put them into words, which is very difficult. So death is it's just a transition. It's nothing to be scared of. I have absolutely no fear of it because I've done it on a regular basis. The monasteries that I lived at, I'm not the only one. There was 150 monks in my monastery, and we all used to do it on a regular basis. It's quite easy to do. If you're lucky, I have to be careful what I say. I'm not saying to people, go out and kill yourself and see what it's like. That's not what I'm saying. That's what death is. It's just a transition. When you get away from the fear of death, you can start exploring it. And when you can start exploring it, you'll realize that there's many things you can do with death. It doesn't have to be a bad thing at all. It's certainly not something to be fearful of. It's the one thing that everything that lives will eventually do. So to be fearful of it's a bit silly. It's a matter of grasping. You need to be free from it. And through correct meditation, of course, you won't grasp onto your body anymore because you'll realize you are not your body. And when that body is time to go, it will fall to bits and you will just get another one. When you die, you have 3 options. Everybody has 3 options in death. One of them is the light, of course. You can go towards the light or not. But there's 2 other options that you will be presented with. And everyone gets them, and they are all good options. You can come back. You can be a part of humanity in spiritual ways without coming back into another body. You can remain as an entity. You can hang around and just prove to people that life exists after death, merely by becoming a ghost. When people see ghosts, wow, suddenly they realize that there is life after death, that when your body dies, there is something in you that goes on. You can prove that to people just by not becoming reborn, just staying around as a spirit. Ghost was a wrong word. The other option you get is you can enter into the astral, the Akashic, once you've died, and you can become part of people's creativity. If Einstein is sitting on the toilet thinking about E equals mc squared, he's sitting on the toilet, he's going in his own mind, E equals mc, doesn't quite know how to finish the equation. You, as spirit, can move through the mind and just drop off the end of that calculation. And suddenly Einstein goes, oh, E equals mc squared, I've got it. And then he will go and change the world. And you would have had a big part to do with that. This stuff's hard to imagine. But if you want to know about death, this is the kind of stuff that goes on. It's very busy out there. Once again, though, I'm not saying go and die and see what it's like, because it's got to be natural. Everything is natural, but, it's the shelf life of matter. That's what death is. But if you think death is the end of life, you're wrong. Otherwise, people wouldn't die and come back. Scientific fact now, reincarnation. There's so much evidence. The evidence is overwhelming. Scientists can no longer say, no, it doesn't exist. There's too much evidence. It does exist. There's proof. So why are people in the world still scared of death? There's actually scientific proof out there showing that there's no such thing. If you're a religious person and you think you're going to go to heaven, well then, death isn't the end of it in your belief. There's nothing in the world that would indicate that death is the end of life, except for scientists who don't want to believe in spirit. They think that when you die, you get put in a hole in the ground and that's the end of it and you're gone. But these are those scientists that we were talking about at the beginning of this discussion. They think you are this. When that's broken, that's the end of you. They don't have the capacity to go beyond that. And yet they all know how a walkie-talkie works, but they can't make the jump to applying that principle to human beings, even though the same thing is happening.
What do you think, Grandmaster? If we offer to our viewers as an experiment, especially for them who wrote us the question about the meditation for the whole humanity, that the people can change this world with the good things, can fulfill it with the love, with the friendship, and all of good things that the people can produce, that the spirit of the people can produce. If we offer for these viewers just to make this meditation every day at 9 p.m. and then it would be interesting to see the outcome of this experiment. How do you think? Is it correct? Can we offer this or no?
Oh, that would be fantastic. You would see a huge effect. Absolutely. Yeah, have a go. I think it's a great idea.
Nice. So, guys who ask and who wants to try, who have a courage and who have a will for this experiment, please join and then write your experience in the comments. And so, Grandmaster Wolf, I want to thank you for this conversation. Like I already said, it was unexpected. Like the previous time, a lot of things that you shared with us is unexpected, especially for me. And we will see what our viewers will say about this. I'm sure we will have more questions. And if you don't mind, and if you have interest and if you have time, can we continue?
Anytime you like, just let me know.
Perfect.
Thank you so very much. Thank you everyone that's listening and to everyone that is supporting this channel. Shadow Control is doing an absolutely wonderful job. I love what you guys are doing. I really do. I think it's a great thing. Thank you guys for doing what you do. Thank you for being you. Thank you everyone for listening. I love you all, and I hope you all love each other.
Thank you.